Yeah, just bear with me if you can hear me trying to find this and it's not coming up. Satan doing this thing already. We ain't even get started. Goddamn. All right. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem, Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is just basically a various topics dated January 10th, 2026. The year of apostasy, sellouts, agents, and Jacob's trouble. And pretty much a couple of things I'll bring up. However, the spirit, whatever direction the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Shai leads us. And pretty much I was watching, not yesterday, but the day before. I believe it was the day before, or was it yesterday? It was over a course of 2 days. I was watching that movie again, 12 Years a Slave. And it's a very good movie, it's vivid, it shows you, certain graphic details of slavery, the combination of that one and Django shows you. Even though it was like a kind of like a somewhat of a comedy, but it showed you like the severity of the shackles, in the wrists and the especially the ankles of Jake, how those iron chains or shackles were cut into the flesh. And always reminds me of that scripture in, I believe it's in the book of Psalms, where it spoke about Joseph and how they hurt, they hurt his, I believe it said they hurt his ankles with the shackles or something like that. Can't remember exactly the word. It's been a long time since I've gone to it. Let's see. I don't remember if it's ankles. Nope. Shackles. I don't think the word shackles is in there. Nope. Can't remember how it's worded. Let's see, Joseph. In the book of Psalms. Let's see. I think this might be it. What verse was that? 17. Right. It says right here, Psalms 105 and I say 15, start at 15. Saying, touch not my anointed and do my prophets no harm. It's dealing with Israel, but in particular, dealing with Israel in general, but also dealing with the prophets, the great men of the Lord. It says, moreover, he called for a famine upon the land. He brake the whole staff of bread. He set a man before them, even Joseph, who was sold for a servant, whose feet they hurt with fetters. He was laid in iron. See, so his feet they hurt with fetters. And they show you a depiction of that in the movie Django at the beginning, where they're marching all chained up together, and they show they put a close up on the ankles where the shackles were actually locked in. And in that movie, 12 Years a Slave, especially towards like going towards the end, all of it, is fucked up, but especially towards the end, it, evokes a lot of emotion, a lot of anger, and evokes tears too, because they show you that when they were the chick that played Patsy, her name was Patsy in the movie, Nyong'o, I think her name is something like that. And they show you when this guy Solomon Northup, Chiwetel, Ejiofor, when he was whipping her, you saw like the like almost like the chunks of flesh and blood coming off her back, and the expression on her face. It just like it does something to you, And I was just writing down a couple of precepts. Like I said, I was watching it over like a course of 2 days. It just had it playing in the background, and all of a sudden, my attention just focused on it, And that was a horrible time for Jake. The Israelites, so-called Negroes, and also the so-called Latin tribes, Native American Indian tribes suffered also, and there's no other nation. Other nations have gone through shit, especially the poor of them. And who knows if they may be Israelites themselves. That's why they went through such horrific ways, because these curses that we read about in Deuteronomy 28 and other places, but mainly Deuteronomy 28, Leviticus 26, was a horrible, horrible time, for us, as a people. The effects are still heard around the world and still felt, and and on top of that, the continual racism, the continual white supremacist type of teaching through Christianity that's being pushed out there is constantly keeping Jake in a mental captivity, constantly neck bowed down, in every aspect of life, but then when you speak about that, oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist, or, you just, you never, there's many opportunities out there. You just got to go out and grab it. And it's, you could do that. But when you reach a certain level, first of all, you got to pay exorbitant amount of money in certain areas. And then when you get up in there to a higher, caliber, so to speak, to be able to live a better life, you have to sell out no matter what, career you decide to take, because, you say, okay, well, I'm gonna be an artist, or I'm gonna be a content creator, or I'm gonna be a podcaster, all of those, top podcasters and, content creators that are making money, artists, they got to do things behind the scenes in order to get paid like that, so it's not, as easy as you make it out to seem, but Daniel chapter 9 verse 11, it says, yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of the Most High, because we have sinned against him. And we're going to come back to this, when you go to Deuteronomy 28, which pretty much is a blueprint, and like I called it before, a GPS, I forgot I called it, somebody reminded me, a GPS to finding out who the Israelites are. It tells you when you read through all these curses, and there's no one on the planet Earth that has suffered all these curses like Jake. Now, have you had nations that have gone through slavery, outside of the Israelites? Of course. Have you had nations? Because slavery has been here as long as the world has been here. People have been having, being servitude, whether they were indentured servants or actual servants. Yeah, you had a lot of hardships, famines, and all that, but not on the level that the Israelites went through. And we're going to read about that. But these curses are a direct, guide to showing who the Israelites are, because the Lord said he would put that upon us as a sign. To Deuteronomy 28 and 45, it says, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee. And they did. And it didn't say that they're going to come upon thee all in one captivity, or in all the captivities you go through, you're going to go through the same things. No, because there were certain captivities. Obviously, if we didn't have a land, obviously certain curses would not apply to us because we didn't have land. Not every Israelite out there owned land. You had certain Israelites that were indentured servants because they lost their inheritance. So they had to be tributary to, to another Israelite. And in some cases, they had to be tributary to actual heathen. This is in the law. So obviously, if you're in slavery and captivity and you don't have your land, the curse of land and your kind and your flocks and all that is not going to apply to you at that time. The fruits that the tree would bear is not going to apply to you at that time. But there were other curses that did apply. And in every captivity, one of the curses that did apply was when we were scattered among the nations. That's one. And also among these nations shall thou feel no ease. It's the same thing from the beginning captivity all the way till now. The first captivity we were in, which was in Egypt, this is before the law was even written. But the Lord told Abraham through a dream that would happen. And you have these clowns today that talk about, that 400-year prophecy was fulfilled in 2019 here in America. No, you're totally off. And nobody talks about that. These false prophets, because you had Genesis, which were part of Sicaria back then, doing like a show where they were out there rapping and all that, right? And then the banner in the back, they said pretty much like the 400-year celebration or something along those lines. But nobody talks about that, But they keep bringing up the year 2000 thing about Great Millstone to show you the great hatred that Israel, the real Israelites, have for the men of the Lord, the prophets. They don't talk about the elder Barak from the HODC that mentioned that Barack Obama was the Antichrist and the anti-type. That came and went. Barack Obama is not in office anymore. Nobody talks about that. Nobody brings up, well, you're a false prophet. HODC are false prophets because they don't bring that up. But it is what it is. So the curses would apply in certain captivities depending on where we were at. Did we have land? Did we not have land? Were we just going from one captivity to the next? So it says here in Deuteronomy 28:45, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee. So that they will come upon us, they will pursue us, and they will overtake us. Because the Lord said one of the curses would be that we were scattered among the nations. Therefore, when we scattered among the nations, guess what? The curses didn't stay in the land of Israel. The curses followed us and our children and our future generations, and overtook us. Meaning there was nothing that we could do. Matter of fact, let's look up this word overtake. There was not anything that we could do to get out of that captivity. The word therefore overtake is nashag. To reach, overtake, take hold upon. Right. So here it is, you running. And when somebody catches you, they overreach you. And then it goes above. It's over, flowing over. Like King David said, my cup runneth over with what? Blessings of the Lord. Or the curses bubbled over on our nation. No matter where we are on the planet Earth. It's the same scenario. Anywhere you go in ghetto USA, hood USA, barrio USA, you're going to see what? The same shit. So-called Negroes, Latinos, what they call so-called black and brown people, destitute in cities, catching hell. Now you got Edomites or Edomite-looking individuals that's catching hell, that's homeless, but at one point that was pretty much the face of destituteness, I know it's not a word, but it is now, was the face of Jake. So-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians are destitute on the reservation. So it says, take hold upon, to overtake, to reach, attain to be able to secure, reach, have enough. So pretty much to overtake. Let's just look up, let's see what the regular dictionary says about the word overtake. Catch up with and pass while traveling in the same direction. Right. So pretty much you're running and the curses are on your ass, pursuing you. They catch up to you and they pass you, and they're constantly surrounding. No matter how fast you run, no matter where you run, they're right there, right around you, circling around you. Why? Because it's a direct curse from the Father, and it's a direct curse upon who? The seed of the nation of Israel, man or woman. No matter where they're at, no matter where we're at on the planet. All right? So let's go back and let's read this again. So it says, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, meaning destruction. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy power. We didn't listen to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee. And they, meaning what? These curses shall be upon thee for what? A sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever, until Yahushua comes back and delivers us. Lord's will be the elect, delivers the elect, and then the curses will be over. Then the curses will be transferred from us to Esau and the other nations. Let's get that real quick and we'll come right back. Because you're going to pay, regardless if you want to or not. Deuteronomy 30:7. And the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Shai, thy power will put all these curses upon thee. Will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. So you're going to have to, you should get acquainted with the curses. You Edomites, you other nations, get acquainted with the curses, especially you Edomites, because this is what's going to come upon you. So these curses that we see here are for a sign and a wonder upon us. Let's look up this word sign first. The word is awath, sign, a signal, a distinguishing mark. And that's the distinguishing mark. A banner, remembrance. See, it's a remembrance as to who the Israelites are. This is why the scriptures say our spirit beareth witness with the Lord's spirit that we are the children of the Most High. So the curses is one sure way of knowing, because you can't just go by the way a man looks or the way a woman looks and say, oh, that's an Israelite because they're jet black, so-called jet black, or dark brown, and has a super big afro, got the royal look. So all of a sudden he's an Israelite. Nah, you have this Latino, caramel tan color with kinky hair. That's an Israelite. It doesn't always work like that. Now, the majority of Israel, or should I say the so-called phenotype of the true Israelites, yeah, that's it. North American Indians, the way they look. But you have a lot of Israelites that don't look like the typical Israelites, that are scattered all over the world. You have Israelites that look like Elamites. You have Israelites that look like Ishmaelites. You have Israelites that look like Amalekites. You have Israelites that look like cavemen. Case in point, Luis Guzman. Hey, yo, Pachanga, shake my hand. Inside joke, right? So he got that caveman head. I don't know if you heard this. He probably want to kick my ass, but I'm just telling the truth, man. He got that caveman head, caveman eyebrow, that brow, that caveman brow, that cliff brow. That summit brow, like that shit that just sticks out. You could just, ski off of that mother effer. But you're gonna have, but he has a typical so-called Latino look to him, even though you got that caveman brow. But then you have other Israelites that look like straight up cavemen. The Colombian caveman, one of them, which he did a so-called apology video, but he wasn't sincere. He wasn't apologizing. He was trying to justify himself. Now, the other two brothers, the Boxer and Buck 50, they really from the heart repented. You could hear it in their voice. You could hear it in their demeanor. And may the Lord have mercy on those brothers. Just keep doing the work. May the Lord have mercy on those brothers. Man, we want mercy. Look, the scriptures say mercy rejoices over judgment. To me, that's water under the bridge. I bear no ill will to you, brothers, man. May the Lord, guide you and protect you, and hopefully you'll be a part of the elect. Just keep doing the work. Now that other individual that we call a Colombian caveman, I forgot his Hebrew name. That dude is not sincere. That dude is full of shit, basically. He's not really apologizing. He's just saying what he says because, it's just something to do, following a trend. I don't know if he's following their trend or whatever the case is. But nevertheless, a sign is a distinguishing mark. So that distinguishing mark proves who the Israelites are. As it says here, and they, meaning the curses, shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. Let's look at wonder real quick, and then we'll move on. The word is ma'wapath. Wonder, sign, miracle, portent. Wonder as a special display of the Most High's power, sign, token of future event. So it's a token, an evident token of who the Israelites are. You want to know who the Israelites are? We'll go through the curses and see what the curses say and see who those curses match on the planet. It's not going to match them small hats. Now you may have a group of them, a small group of them that may go through that, and you have some of them that are jakes. Token, a thing serving as a visible or tangible representation of a fact. And what is the fact? The fact is that the Israelites would have curses upon them. The tangible evidence is, or representation is, that you have people on the planet that are exhibiting the signs of the curses that are written in Deuteronomy 28, Leviticus 26. Who is that? Typically is your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. Very easy. You don't got to go to no deep seminary school or cemetery school, as the Elder Pastor calls it. You ain't got to get, go to college for 10 years or however long they go to college for to learn the scriptures, the Bible, whatever the case is, to learn these facts. But because it's not accepted text among the so-called scholars, therefore they don't accept it, because there's nothing in their curriculum that made room for that, even though it's fact. Just like they didn't make room for Yahushua, in his ministry, his doctrine. They dismissed it because it wasn't a part of the norm back then, the circular teachings. But Yahushua did not, acknowledge their authority, just like we don't acknowledge you Edomites' authority either. And you jakes that are, banging for these devils, the Lord's going to get you. You're going to get it worse. Because you are some real demons, especially you vocabulates. You jakes that are down with vocab, you are the biggest demons on the planet. You devils back then that used to be a part of One West that joined up with TTAK, Truth After Knowledge movement, you're a bunch of goddamn demons, and the Lord's going to destroy every last one of you. Because you're the ones that are facilitating the ammunition scripturally to these devils to come against us. They're not that wise. They're not that deep. But it's Jake, the mind of Jake, that goes into the scriptures and be able to pull certain things out. The Lord's going to deal with every last one of you, because these devils are going to pay whether you like it or not. The scriptures say, though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not go unpunished. So you're going to pay. All right, so now that we got that out the way, let's go back. Let's read this in Daniel chapter 9, verse 11. Yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore, the curse is poured upon us, just like sauce. When you got like that tomato sauce is all in the crevices, of the meat, all in the crevice of the veggies and all that. Well, that's how the curses were all over us, poured all over us. It says, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of the Most High, because we have sinned against him. So it's going to happen. It happened and it's going to happen. Whatever's written is going to happen. So when the Lord said that, he meant that. It may not have happened at that moment, but guess what? Eventually it happened, because look, here it is. What is it? About 3,500 years in the future. This was roughly around, we were delivered from Egypt, just rough estimates, about 1490 BC or so, around there. So from that point until now, it's been about roughly 3,500 years. And those curses came upon us, slowly but surely. In every captivity we've been in, all the way here on the other side of the world. Because this is the sign that the Lord said would be upon us, as a sign and a wonder. So it says, and he hath confirmed his words, which he spake against us. That's why we deal with what the Lord said, not what these devils say. Like I said, you got a corner chat in order for it to tell the truth. Come in with all this, well, the Apocrypha was really written around 100 AD to 1st or 2nd century AD. So I said, well, so what sources are there? Well, this scholar, this guy says, this, and this one doesn't really agree with him, but he says this date. So this one says 100 AD. The other one says 135 AD. So, but nevertheless, this is where, so I say, so where are their sources from? Or it's just in the linguistics, in the way that it's written in the textual, yeah, but what's the evidence? What? And they never get down to the bottom of it. Because it's all bullshit. It's deception at its finest. used, to keep the world, in that days that they've had them in ever since the Renaissance period. And the devil has done a great work in deceiving the world. These devils have done a great work in deceiving the world, to the point that here it is, 2026, and you still have jakes that are rocking for the Roman Catholic Church and for the Christian Church, which is the same shit. That just shows you how deep the deception went. It said all the world wondered after the beast, and it's still like that. It's very few, that the Lord has allowed to escape the clutches of Christianity and Islam and Roman Catholicism and all those other different religions. It says, and he has confirmed the words which he spake against us and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil. For under the whole heaven have not been done as had been done upon Jerusalem. Bottom line. So we are the nation that caught the most hell. Did other nations catch hell? Of course, because as long as you have people on the planet Earth, you're going to have, injustice. As long as there's money and gold and resources and lands and labor, you're going to have injustice, because the world doesn't play fair. Even among Jake, you had injustices, the rich, oppressing the poor. All right. So what I want to do is, I got a series of scriptures here I'm going to go to. And if you don't have to, but if you want to, I would definitely, if you haven't watched that movie, I would definitely watch that movie, 12 Years a Slave. That is, it's going to evoke a lot of emotions. I'll put it to you like that. Now, Jeremiah 49, we're going to go to the 12th verse, but the 7th verse is concerning Edom. I just wanted to go here to let you know that this is dealing specifically with the Edomites. Now, sometimes it says Edom and Esau. Sometimes it says Seir. Sometimes it'll say Idumea. And it doesn't, every scripture doesn't always say Esau or Edom, but you know that it's talking about these devils because they're the ones that are in power right now. And certain things that may have applied, in, let's say, the Assyrian captivity, in Nineveh, now applies to America, because America is the new Nineveh. In the New Testament, it calls America the spiritually known as Sodom and Egypt. We know that Sodom and Egypt were ruled by Sodom in those 5 cities were ruled by Canaanites, Hamites. Egypt was ruled by another set of Hamites, which are, so-called Egyptians, Mizraim. All right. Nevertheless, the Lord uses that as a way to let us know that this place here, America, Babylon the Great, is also known as Egypt. It's also known as, Sodom. It's also known pretty much as Nineveh, because the same things they were doing in Nineveh through witchcraft and southern nations and all that, it's the same thing they were doing here in America, worshiping the same gods, same idols, just using different names. And Jesus pretty much is nothing more than an idol, witchcraft, because that's not the Lord's name. And I was watching the video that the elder Pastor did, I believe the last one he did, and you had the elder Monaghan speaking on, these demons at the IUIC. The one particular individual came up asking, what language did the people of the Bible speak back then, before they spoke English. And they said, are you one from the bump camp, GMS bump camp or something like that? And there was another point I was going to make, but it is what it is. But that's, hey, it is what it is. If it comes back, then I'll bring it out. But nevertheless, this is the thanks we get. So concerning Edom, verse 12, for thus saith the Lord Yahweh Shem El Shai, behold, the whole day whose judgment was not to drink of the cup, have assuredly drunken. Who are the ones that were not supposed to drink of the cup? Israel. Why? Because the Lord said he made us a holy people, a righteous people, a kingdom of priests. So we're not supposed to be, we are a royal priesthood. We're special treasure to the Most High, peculiar treasure. So we were not supposed to drink of that cup. We were supposed to show the world, what it is to have the Most High so near to us and how to govern themselves. But we failed at that mission. So the Lord jacked us up. But now we're at the point where the Lord is, we're at the tail end, the very tail end, almost at the tip of the tail end of the curses. And those curses are slowly but surely starting to grab onto our enemies, but they're going to fully grab on them once this place is destroyed and the kingdom of heaven is established on the earth. It says, and art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? So you Edomites, we caught hell, so you think you're going to go unpunished? And you put your hands on the apple of the Most High's eye? Oh, no. Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. So you're not going to go unpunished. You're going to surely drink of it. Matter of fact, I like to couple this with Obadiah. And the book of Obadiah has not been fulfilled yet. Certain parts have been fulfilled, but not all of it. I like to couple it with Obadiah 1:15. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. Why? Because all the heathen had a hand, either directly or indirectly in putting us in captivity. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. So if you didn't do anything to the Israelites, then you're still going to be a servant, a slave, but you're not going to get it as bad as an Edomite or as another heathen that had like Ishmael. Ishmael going to get fucked up too. They put a lot of Jakes in captivity too. It says, it shall be done to thee, thy reward shall return upon thine own head. For as you have drunk upon my holy mountain, how do they drink? Putting us in captivity, killing us. As here in America, the raping, the lynching, the slavery, free labor. So shall all the heathen drink what? Continually. You're going to drink continually because it's going to be a long, hard 1,000 years. Let's look up this word continually. The word is thamayad, continuity, perpetuity, to stretch continually. So pretty much an age. And that age is going to go all the way until, you pay everything till you pay to the last drop. So for as you have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. Meaning you're going to be statusless until the 1,000 years. Esau will be burnt up, so he'll be no more. And then you nations, you'll be able to govern among yourselves, but you'll still be tributary to us. But for that 1,000-year period, you're going to be nothing, but property. Then after the 1,000 years, after you pay, then you're going to go into, you're still going to be slaves, but you're going to have, be able to govern among yourselves. And you're not going to govern with the bullshit Baal and Baal and Ashtoreth and all them demonic gods. You're going to learn our ways because you're going to be taught our ways. And if you don't learn our ways, if you don't comply with our ways, you're going to get jacked up and you ain't going to get no blessings. You ain't going to be able to farm your land and get the benefits of your land. You dig? So get it right. Now, let's go from there. Let's go to the book of Psalms, building on this devil Esau. Psalms chapter 50 and verse 21. Because, matter of fact, before I go there, and this is the mentality of Esau, right? Esau has been ruling since the 1400s on up till now. And because nothing major has happened to them, they feel in their heart of hearts, demonic heart of hearts, that they don't have to pay for all of the heartache that they cause upon the Israelites, the true Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, and upon the world. Let me see something to make sure that. Okay, yeah, that's on. Okay, but you're going to have to pay. Ecclesiastes 8:11, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily. So because the Lord doesn't, move lightning speed to bust your ass for putting your hands on the Israelites, you think that gives you carte blanche, that gives you, free access to just do what you do. Zechariah 1:15. It says, I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, For I was but a little displeased, but they helped forward the affliction. So you made it worse. You put hell upon hell upon hell upon hell upon us, and because nothing happened to you all these years, all these centuries, you think that you scot free. You're moving like a maniac. Ecclesiastes 8:11, and Trump represents the epitome of the Edomite spirit. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. And that's why you continually do evil. But there's going to come a time where you got to pay. You got to pay. Though a sinner do evil 100 times and his days be prolonged, yet surely I know that it shall be well with them that fear the Most High, which fear before him. Right? Because we see, the Lord sees that the day of the wicked is coming. But it shall not be well with the wicked, neither shall he prolong his days, which are as a shadow, because he feareth not before the Most High. Matter of fact, I think that's in Psalms 37. Psalms 37:13, Barak the Abba. The Lord shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming. So your day of doom is coming. It's right around the corner. It's right around the corner. So Psalms 50:21, these things hast thou done, and I kept silence, meaning you, matter of fact, let's read up above that. I'll start at 19. You could go up even further, but I'll start at 19. Thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth deceit. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother, thou slanderest thine own mother's son. Yeah, because Esau is the closest relative to us than any nation. But they didn't honor the brotherhood. And they went buck wild. So now you got to pay. So now you at the time when you got to pay. You done ate all that food on the table. You done made a mess. You're all full, belching, farting, wiping your mouth. And now it's time to pay the bill, and you don't want to pay the bill. Well, guess what? You ate. You reap what you sow. The chickens have come home to roost. All right. It says, these things hast thou done, and I kept silent. So the Lord allowed you to slander us. The Lord allowed you to put your foot in our ass sideways. From can't see in the morning to can't see at night. Take all of our resources, take our land, put our brothers on concentration camps, try to commit genocide on us, and the Lord didn't say anything. Why? Because it was a time of our punishment, and it was a time of the world. It was a time where we just had to be on the bottom. There was nothing we could do. Just like for that 1,000-year plus period, you Edomites, were under a dark cloud, and there was nothing you could do. You couldn't move. You couldn't, lie anymore. You couldn't cheat. You couldn't build up anything because the scope was on your ass, and the dark cloud of the Lord was upon you. Same thing with us. We just had to eat it. So the Lord kept silence, and you thinking, oh, damn, wait a minute. Let me do a little more. It says, thou thoughtest that I was altogether such an one as thyself. You thought the Lord was with you. You thought the Lord looked like you. That's why you had the audacity to put your face as the face of the Heavenly Father and His Son, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And OT, while you did all this, I remained silent. And you thought I didn't care, right? You thought the Lord was with you. You thought the Lord didn't care. But how I will rebuke you, listing all my charges against you. And that's what's happening right now. You're going through what's called a sentencing stage. What is a sentencing stage? The sentencing stage is the final part of a criminal case where a judge determines the punishment for a defendant who has pleaded guilty or been found guilty, considering factors like the crime's severity, the defendant's history, and potential mitigating circumstances, often resulting in penalties like jail time, probation, or fines. Till you've been weighed in the balances, you have been found wanting. Let's see, what happens after the sentencing stage? After sentencing, the judge's orders are put into action. The defendant may go to jail/prison, often after a short wait in local jail, begin probation/parole under supervision, start paying fines, restitutions, or potentially remain out on bond pending appeals. You're not going to remain out on bond, homeboy. You're not going to get clemency. You're not going to get acquitted. What is that? Is that Nahum 1 and 3? Yep. The Lord is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. We look up this word acquit, right? And I'm going to get that in another version. The word is nakwa, to be empty, be clear, be pure, be free, be innocent, be desolate, be cut off. You're not going to be innocent. You're not going to be found innocent. The charges and the evidence is overwhelming. You're going to get the black, salacious rock. You're not going to get the white rock, the innocent rock. You're going to get the guilty rock. And it's going to be brought to you by the rock himself, the stone himself, Yahweh Shai. He going to kick your ass, man. And that's what we're waiting for, patiently. Grueling. But when we're, as much as we want you to go down, we don't want you to go down as bad as Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai does. And when the Lord get his hands on you, oh my Lord, he gonna rip you a new one. It's gonna be the most dynamic ass whooping of all time. And you going down, oh boy. So going back, oh, I wanted to get that in another version. See what the NLT says. The Lord is slow to get angry, but his power is great. He never lets the guilty go unpunished. Bam. NIV, the Lord is slow to anger, but great in power. The Lord will not leave the guilty unpunished. So you're not, thou, he that shall go altogether unpunished, thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. Meaning it's already written, so let it be written, so let it be done. You're cooked. Well done. It's a dead eagle with plucked plumes. Inside joke. Shout out to the brothers out there in Indy. All right, so Psalms 51:21 in the KJV. These things thou hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such an one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes. And this is what you're seeing right now. You're seeing the Lord setting up his people before your eyes, because you wouldn't do it. Ishmael wouldn't do it. Moab wouldn't do it. Elam wouldn't do it. Ammon wouldn't do it. Ham wouldn't do it. Japhet wouldn't do it. None of them nations would do it. So guess what? The Lord is doing it. And this is why he raised up a man by the name of the elder Abba Bivens to teach this word, this blessed, glorious word that you hear being pronounced throughout the earth right now, that you're so angry about, because you can't believe that a bunch of niggas and spicks and tontos would be able to teach this word on such a level as this through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Because it's not about words of wisdom. It's about the power and demonstration of the power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai through the Holy Spirit, which you devils do not have. You are sought less. You have nothing. You are dead. This is why you need other Israelites to come against us. You can't do it on your own. You can't go out there and gather people like you used to and with your deceptions anymore. So what do you have to do? You have to resort to gimmicks like some of these other groups. You have to resort to gimmicks, to put the name of Hebrew Israelites in there so that you can get watchers. You get people to viewers. Because if you don't do that, nobody's going to watch you. And even when you do that, there'll be very few people still watching sometimes. But when you do that, you get your numbers up. But if you was to teach a sermon on the nonsense, that white supremacist bullshit that you've been teaching for the last 500-600 years or however long it's been, nobody would watch you. People are leaving the church left and right, especially men, because they're seeing the bullshit and corruption. The barnyard pimp in the suit, pimping the congregation, pimping the women, committing adultery with the woman. Telling you ain't gonna leave out of here until we get that 30 G's. Come on, we need it. I know some of y'all got it. Dig deep. 10,000 is not enough. That's not good enough. I need 20 G's, 50 G's. You ain't gonna be able to pull that shit no more. And this is why you need other Israelites to help you in your endeavor. You can't do it on your own. You Vocab Malone, David Woods, Sam Shamoon, what's that other devil? Abu Kamar. Well, nobody listen to you clowns if you wouldn't talk about the Israelites, the Hebrew Israelites. Nobody cares what you got to say. It's just the ones that either you paid off that are getting money or just bug the fuck out to do that. And like Elder Pastor said, none of you guys out there, you jakes out there that's in there, apologists, you're not sincere. You're full of shit, the majority of you. Now, could you have one, maybe two that may be sincere, that just, really believe what they're into? Could be. But the majority of you guys are full of shit. You know exactly what you're doing. And the Lord's going to reveal it. So let's go from there. Let's go, already went to Psalms 37. Let's go to James. This is for you devils, you Edomites. James chapter 2, verse 13. It says, for he shall have judgment without mercy, that hath showed no mercy, and mercy rejoices against judgment. You didn't show no mercy, expect no mercy. That's you Edomites, you so-called white people that are of the seed of Esau. And not just because you look like a so-called white person that makes you an Edomite. You got to check your background, check your father's line. It has nothing to do with your mother. Oh, my mother was black. No, my grandmother, she was black. No, that don't mean shit. My grandmother, my great-great-great-grandmother was 1/5 Cherokee. The fuck out of here with that bullshit. All right, so it says, and mercy rejoices against judgment. And you showed no mercy, so expect no mercy. So Genesis, check this out. This is bad. I ran across this, like I said, in the following some precepts in the blue letter the other day when I was putting these precepts together. And this is beautiful because this is Joseph when he was sold by his brothers to go into Egypt. They wanted to kill him, but Reuben stepped in, and then Judah helped to preserve him. They said, "No, let's just sell him, to the Egyptians," which they ended up selling them to the Ishmaelites, and the Ishmaelites turned around and sold them to the Egyptians. So Genesis 42:1. Now, when Jacob saw that there was, I just want to go straight to the point. Verse 3. And Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy corn in Egypt. Okay, so basically he had 11 brothers. 10 of them went down to Egypt. The youngest one, which is Benjamin, stayed behind. All right. So they came down there. He already knew who they were because he recognized them as soon as he saw them. But they didn't recognize him because he was wearing the Egyptian garb, and he was looking different. Probably didn't have a beard, because they, Egyptians shaved their beard and all of that, right? Probably was speaking, not probably, he was speaking the Egyptian language, and he could also speak the Hebrew. All right, so let's just come down here. See, verse 8. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew not him. And Joseph remembered the dreams which he dreamed of them, right? And that's why they were mad at him, because he dreamt the dream that the that they made obeisance to him. But I can't remember if it was because they know it was the sun and the moon, which was represented Jacob and his wife, uh, um, Jacob and Rachel, right? And then the stars. It was the stars. It was the stars that made obeisance to him. So all of them made obeisance to him, meaning they bowed down to him because he would be in a position of authority. And when he told the dream, he's like, shall me and your mother bow down to you? And then that was what Jacob said. And then his brothers got mad. They were envious, right? This dreamer of dreams, and said unto them, ye are spies to see the nakedness of the land you are come. So he was messing with them. But he really didn't want to mess with them, but he's just teaching them a lesson. And there was times when he had to dip off to the side and cry because, he really wanted to tell them who he was and that they were his brothers and all that, and it really hurt him to do that. But, he had to do it just to teach them a lesson, right? So we keep on jumping down. We go to verse 18. And Joseph said unto them the third day, this do and live, for I fear the Most High. If you be true men, let one of your brethren be bound in the house of your prison. Go ye, let one of your brethren be bound in the house of your prison. Go ye, carry corn for the famine of your houses, but bring your youngest brother unto me, so shall your words be verified, and you shall not die. And they did so. Right. So now what they did was they gathered together like a council, and they were reasoning among themselves, right? And they said one to another, we are very guilty concerning our brother, dealing with Joseph, right? In that we saw the anguish of his soul, right? Just like Esau saw the anguish of our soul. They didn't move him, right? When he besought us, and we would not hear. Therefore is this distress come upon us. So Esau, you're going to get fucked up for what you did because you didn't consider your latter end. I believe that's in Isaiah 47. Yep. Isaiah 47:7. And thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, meaning all the shit you did, of selling of people, the taking their lands, that continual stroke. It says, neither did it remember the latter end of it. You didn't have any concern for the future and the judgment that will come upon you for putting the children of Israel in total captivity. And I'll change the name of the lesson since it just went in this direction through the Spirit. NLT, you said, I will reign forever as queen of the world. You did not reflect on your actions. Or think about their consequences. Hey, remember, consequences. Every action has a consequence. And you just kept piling up. That's why it says the sins have reached up to heaven. And that goes into, garbage out there in space, but also, your iniquities and the shit that you've done, your actions. And you still going. You fucking everybody up. You don't give a damn about yourself. You even fucking up your own allies. Tell me, we're going into Greenland, whether they like it or not. Hey, do you? NIV, you said, I am forever the eternal queen. but this is the eternal queen, fucking fairies. But you did not consider these things or reflect on what might happen. See, you didn't think about the consequences. All right. So let's go from there. Oh, matter of fact, let's see if I think that was it in Genesis. Right. So let me read 21 again. They said one to another, we are very, verily guilty concerning our brother, and that we saw the anguish of his soul when he besought us, and we would not hear. Yeah, you and then you Edomites the same thing. So when the other 12, the other 10 saw the anguish of their brother Joseph, they weren't moved. They wanted to kill him. They weren't hear his plea. No, please don't do this. Therefore is this distress come upon us. That's why they catching hell now. Right? So you're gonna get it. So these are Israelites thinking like that. So you devils, you don't consider that. It says, and Reuben answered them, saying, spake I not unto you, saying, do not sin against this child, against the child, and you will not hear? Therefore, behold, all his blood is required. And they knew not that Joseph understood them, for he spake unto them by an interpreter. Okay, so he was speaking to them in the Egyptian tongue, but he didn't speak Hebrew. And he turned himself about from them and wept and returned to them again, right? Because they heard him. He wanted to tell them. They said, nah, I got to teach him a lesson. And communed with them and took from them Simeon and bound him before their eyes. So he bound them to hold them until they brought Benjamin with him. All right. So that was the point. But the point was that, they considered that, all this evil was come upon them because of what they did to Joseph. Now, let's go from there. So just Esau, just look at all the wicked shit you've done, and you're going to pay. And though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished. So other Israelites are not going to stop you from getting your punishment. I don't give a damn how many of them you pay. Proverbs 21:13, whoso stoppeth his ears at the cry of the poor, he also shall cry himself, but shall not be heard. And this goes hand in hand with the book of Luke. Matter of fact, let's just go there real quick. Luke 16, the parable of Lazarus and the rich man. And the point is in 25. Let me just read this. 19. There was a certain rich man, which is Esau, which was clothed in purple and fine linen and fared sumptuously every day. And there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, this represents the Israelites, which was laid at his gate full of sores. That's all the curses, right? Now, I'm going to jump down because Esau was doing good. Jake was catching hell. 24th verse, and he cried, meaning, matter of fact, I'll start at 23, and in hell, meaning in slavery, captivity, meaning the rich man, Esau, he lifted up his eyes, being in torments, catching hell, getting whipped, having shackles on him, having to work, living in pits, uncomfortable, jacked up, no more limousines, no more, prime rib, caviar, champagne. Repping from a city, man. Salaka, I had to say that. Them doves, man. Goddamn doves, man. Chill. And seeth Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. Because Esau, you're going to catch hell, and we're going to be comforted. And he cried and said, Father Abraham, because, Abraham is Esau's grandfather, right? Down the line. Have mercy on me. You shall have judgment without mercy, then show no mercy. And sent Lazarus, the same motherfucker you kicked his ass, you want him to come and help you. And that he may dip the tip of his finger in water. Tell him to lighten this load for me. Come on, for old time's sake, granddad. Tell him to, to lighten the load. But like Rehoboam said, I'm gonna be thicker with you, with my pinky than my father was with his loins on the women's, so many words. And that's what this means. Lighten the load. That's dip the tip, It's not talking about actually dipping, here it is, you're burning in hell, which is no such thing. And one, like Elder Pastor said, one drop of water ain't gonna do shit for you. It says, and cool my tongue, for I am in torment in this flame. Matter of fact, let me see something. See what it's. And the rich man shouted, Father Abraham, have some pity. Send Lazarus over here to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue. I am in anguish in these flames. The flames of getting your ass kicked. So that's pretty much it. Pretty much says the same thing. So verse 25, this is the point. But Abraham said, Son, remember that thou in thy lifetime receivest thy good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things. But now he is comforted, and thou art tormented. So you're going into the torment. You're going into the torment, the chambers of torment, Esau. You're going into the spiritual room 101 with the Jeremiah 33:18 effect. I'm sorry, Isaiah 33:18 effect. Thy heart shall meditate terror. So room 101 with the Isaiah 33:18 effect. So the NLT, I'm sorry, not the NLT. I wanted to go to tormented, the word tormented. Or do now, to cause intense pain, to be in anguish, be tormented, to torment or distress oneself. Is this not what we went through as a people? Let's go real quick to Deuteronomy 28 and 60. I'll start at 64. The point I think is at 65, 66. And the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai shall scatter thee among all people, which happened, from the one end of the earth even unto the other, all the way over here. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone that's going into these churches, these religions. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease. So you devils are going to be tormented, and you will find no ease. Remember, these curses are going to come upon you. Neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest, but the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee. You're going to be depressed, because you're going to go from being at the top to being at the bottom overnight. It says, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life, just like it is with us. So you're going to be in torment. The word for torment, once again, in Luke 16, odunao, to cause intense pain, to be in anguish, be tormented, to torment or distress oneself. So you're going to be horribly afraid. Anguish. All right? Then it goes on to say in verse 26, and beside all this, between us and you, there is a great gulf fixed. And what is that great gulf? The promise that the Most High made to Abraham, that his seed, which was what? Isaac and then Jacob. Esau has no part of it. Ishmael has no part of it. The 6 sons of Keturah have no part in it. It says, so that they which would pass from hence to you cannot. So these clowns that you have right now, we should give an honorary pass. But they're just doing what they were appointed to do in this life. You know, the apologists like Pastor Mike and all them other individuals that are banging for vocab and Abu Kamar and all them clowns, they can't pass from being Israelites to go to you. Neither can they pass to us that would come from thence. Neither can anyone come from the Edomites that will come to this side. So let me read that again. Besides all this, between us is a great gulf fixed, so that they which would pass from hence to you cannot. Neither can they pass to us that would come from thence. Right, because the Lord put that division there. Remember the 2 sons, Jacob and Esau, 2 manner of people, shall be separated from thy bowels. And that separation is permanent separation. And no boneheaded Israelite is going to give a word or try to bring out a scripture to save you devils. You're going down. All right, so let's see what else we got. We got a couple more, and then we can get ready to close out. So let's go from there to Matthew 7, 1 and 2. Judge not that you be not judged, for with what judgment you judge, you shall be judged, and with what measure you meet, it shall be measured to you again. And oh boy, you went overboard. So expect no mercy. The last precept I have is in the book of Job 22. Got a couple of verses there. Job 22, and I'll start at verse 6. It says, for thou hast taken a pledge from thy brother for naught, and stripped the naked of their clothing. Yeah, that's what you did. Thou hast not given. Now this is Eliphaz, the Temanite, cursing out Job, giving a wrong judgment. But this is the judgment of a wicked individual. So the judgment is not off as far as for the wicked, but it was off because it should not have been directed at Job, because Job did nothing wicked to deserve the situation he was in. Just to paint the narrative. For thou hast taken a pledge from thy brother for naught, and stripped the naked of their clothing. Thou hast not given water to the weary to drink, and thou hast withholden bread from the hungry. You did all this, devil, you devils. But as for the mighty man, he had the earth. So Esau, you had the earth at one time. And the honorable man dwelt in it. So now let's go to the NIV so you get a better understanding of the honorable man. It says, though you were a powerful man, owning land, and honored man living on it. Let's see. You probably, NLT, you probably think the land belongs to the powerful and only the privileged have a right to it. So that's what it means, honorable man. You thought that you were privileged because you were given that blessing by Yahushua when he was Isaac. That dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and by that sword shalt thou live. Right? That's why the Lord said, you thought that I was altogether such a one as yourself, but I will reprove thee, and I will set them in order before thine eyes. So it says, Job 22:8, but as for the mighty man, he had the earth, and the honorable man dwelt in it. Thou hast sent widows away empty, and the arms of the fatherless have been broken. Yeah, so you have a lot to pay for. Therefore, snares are round about thee, and sudden fear troubleth thee, and you're troubled. Terror shall make them afraid on every side. And the Lord's going to rain it upon you while you're eating. So you're about to eat. And once you get your whole new order launched, then the Lord's going to be like, he's going to smack that trajectory out of the sky, so to speak. And you're going to go down and forever be down. Go back to the position you belong in, the bases of men. Goddamn devils. So with that, if your brothers and few sisters want to check out the movie 12 Years a Slave, just get you some napkins, some tissue, because, it does, it is a certain parts of it will cause some tears and bubble up, especially the part where they were whipping, the chick that was called Patsy Nyong'o, I believe her name is. Man, that was my goodness. But with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Till the next time I say, Shalom.